Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, man. Episode 53, T-minus about 15 days until kickoff, man. August 23rd on a Wednesday. Each day getting closer to that Chiefs-Lions kickoff on Thursday night. Week 1 of the NFL season coming right up on us. This week, man, we got Hot or Not making a return back to the show. We're going to give our MVP Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year award predictions. And then a few breakout players, man. Players that haven't made a Pro Bowl yet, but to keep an eye out for a big breakout season to make that Pro Bowl this year. So jumping right into it, man. You want to go ahead, give your Hot or Not?
All right, bro. So the one I cut out this week, this one is a fun one for you and your teams. So hot or not, one team will make the playoffs from the AFC East.
That's a hot take. I mean, you just look at the AFC East, man, how stacked it is. You got at least 3 highly competitive teams supposed to be between the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets. Jets, newer, fresher team, talking about their core and their quarterback, but the rest of the team, they've been around each other. Defense is young. Robert Saleh, head coach, that defense come out to play. So their defense was top-notch last season. Offense and quarterback was the only question mark. Just, had a good season as well. I mean, they weren't too far off of making the playoffs. The Dolphins made the playoffs last year with Skylar Thompson quarterbacking, the back end of the season after Bridgewater went down as well, along with Tua. And then you look at the Bills, man, division winners. There's a little turmoil or, speculate, whatever. A little dig situation over there in Buffalo, man. It's a little shaky and whatnot. But I still expect them to be good, compete. Josh Allen. I saw some reports. Maybe I think it was your boy Colin talking about it. Sean McDermott, maybe he's the problem. Defensive-minded coach. Not really, helping Josh Allen. He gets Ed Oliver some help at D-tackle and pays him. We'll see. Maybe that's why Diggs is upset over there in Buffalo, defensive-minded head coach. But nonetheless, the talent's there, man. We've seen them put up 12-win seasons, literally almost go to the Super Bowl and beat the Chiefs in the title game for the AFC. So expect them to be up there. And then, just the Dolphins. I said they made the playoffs, but Tua healthy. He's bigger. Freak injuries last season when it came to his concussions. Expect him to bounce back, and that offense was just that explosive. And I want to continue to see that. And the defense got some additions as well, especially when it came to, a new D coordinator in Vic Fangio. So expect that AFC East to at least have 2, possibly 3.
All right, some high expectations for the AFC East. Just, to play devil's advocate and give a counter argument for every team. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins and Tua's health, that's going to be a question. Ramsey's going to be missing like half the season. Armstead already went down in training camp. Supposed to be back healthy, but injuries is a big question for that team. I know Jalen Waddle went down with the injury in camp as well. So you just want to see all those guys stay healthy if they can stay healthy. The talent's there. The Bills, like you said, man, they have Josh Allen, but after that, it's kind of like what else? They got kind of ran out of their own stadium last year in the playoffs against the Bengals. That defense, like you said, Sean McDermott, defensive head coach, they got some solid pieces, but the defense seems to be what lost them that playoff game against the Bengals. Just got ran over. Jamar Chase, we'll talk about him later. He was killing them over the top and stuff. So you got questions there. And then the Jets, defense, talent everywhere, Aaron Rodgers, skill positions. One of the best in the league, but, as of late, I know you've seen the reports coming out of camp with that O-line, man. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers has been, running for his life, and they're still having troubles up front. And at this point in his career, if Aaron Rodgers isn't protected, he's always had great O-lines in Green Bay. How productive will he be? Will he be the same quarterback? And then the Patriots, we don't really got to touch on the Patriots. We'll give Patriots the benefit of the doubt, We talking down on everyone else. Hey, listen, make an argument for the Patriots to win. All right, they might not have the best quarterback, but Defense, I believe they were 3rd in sacks last year. Always going to be competitive. I don't think they're going to win, but I think there's ways that each one of these teams to where maybe it doesn't shake out where only one team makes it the division winner. But I agree. It should be at least 2. I could see 3 if everything goes right. But yeah, I think it's a hot take.
I'll make a quick case for the Pats, man. I mean, Bill Belichick, kind of like McDermott, defensive-minded head coach. You finally get an offensive coordinator into the system for Mac Jones, who had a really solid rookie year, made a Pro Bowl, went to the playoffs, and they played against the Bills. They didn't play too bad either in the playoffs when they made it. So, Bill Belichick, Matt Judon, he doesn't really get the love he deserves over there in, New England, but elite pass rusher over there. He can get pressures big time, and I mean, Pat's got a shot. Stevenson, he's a dog in the backfield.
Brought over Zeke.
Yep, brought in Zeke as well. So you kind of got a 1-2 punch in between Zeke, who had a down year last year, but before that, 1,000-yard plus rusher.
Yeah, and last year he had a down year, but he still scored. I think he had like 12 touchdowns. So he was still able to get in the end zone. Those short yardage situations, still a really good pass blocker.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, it's still
just
good
have the
pass
worst
blocker. They put him
yeah.
at center. But yeah, yeah. I mean, we can move on from there. But I mean, all these teams are good. Not all. I mean, the Patriots.
Are mediocre.
Yeah,
they're okay.
But like, they're not a bad team. Like when you look at some of the.
No, they're not a bad team. But yeah, when you look at the top end talent of the rest of the teams, they don't really compare.
I agree. So this one, I mean, I was thinking about it a couple of different ways. I thought it was a little unfair the way I worded it the first time, so I dialed it back a notch. Hot or not, it is a disappointing season if the Eagles don't make it to the NFC Championship game.
I'm going to say that's not a hot take. Now, if everyone's healthy and, there's no, catastrophic injuries or anything crazy like that, if you look at the NFC, I think, you'd expect the Eagles to make it back to the Super Bowl. I know as an Eagles fan, I definitely do, but yeah, that's not a hot take. Like the NFC's weak. Like the Cowboys, we always split with the Cowboys. They're really good, but Dak's throwing interceptions every practice and training camp. Their defense is going to be really solid, but losing Kellen Moore, that offense seems to be it's going to take a step back, try to be more conservative. McCarthy's running the offense, and he said he wants to be more of a conservative offense, kind of take decisions out of Dak's hands. So they're going to be a good team. The Vikings, Kirk in prime time, how much do you really trust them? The 49ers, you'll talk about who's their quarterback, like Brock Purdy coming off a big injury. Teams finally have tape on him. How good is he really going to be? So, I mean, are we really expecting the Lions to do anything? The Bears, there's just not many, top-end talent teams or, really, really good teams when you look at the AFC compared to the Eagles, where not only in the NFC, but they might have the most complete roster in the NFL. Solid coach. They got, the most important position under wraps with Jalen Hurts. Skill positions, receivers, running backs, through the roof. Best O-line, super, super deep. Defensive line, literally everywhere is set up to win now. So if the Eagles don't, I mean, you said make it to the NFC Championship. You could have said back to the Super Bowl. I know that's probably what you had at first, but now I would say that's not a hot take. If everyone's playing and everyone's playing up to their ability and they don't make it that far, then I would say that is a disappointment.
So, yeah, I was going to put the Super Bowl, but then I thought about the 49ers, and, they played them last year in the NFC Championship game, but didn't have a quarterback at all. So, it's a little bit different. 49ers have a quarterback. Maybe the Eagles, still win, beat the Niners, head to the Super Bowl. Maybe they don't.
But I mean, even if you give them Brock Purdy fully healthy, I think, the Eagles are a better team.
They probably are, but it's a conversation that is left out on the field.
On paper,
100%, yeah.
Position group wise and everyting.
Just because I think the quarterback gives them that edge. Because I think the 49ers can match up or, beat in some categories. I mean, if you go through it, but the quarterback is where
running back,
the Eagles have the real edge. I mean, Receiver's not too far off with the Niners.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk.
Debo Samuel's he's
George Kittle. He's not better than any.
I'll say Kittle's better than Goddard, but Goddard's a really good tight end.
It's closer. Like back and forth.
It's closer than it is
D-line, Eagles is good, but the Niners probably have the edge since they got Bosa out there. I mean,
Bosa and who else? Javon Hargrave. They came from the Eagles, but shit, we just replaced them with Jalen Carter. Like
unproven rookie linebackers.
Oh, I think your defensive rookie of the year is the
he's
unproven rookie now.
Bro.
Okay, yeah. You pick him to win defensive rookie last year. Now he's unproven.
I'm just saying it's a conversation, bro.
I'll give him best player on the D line. Yeah, Nick Bosa is the best player, but in terms of a unit, the Eagles
that might just give him the edge, though, bro. I'm saying like Nick Bosa is that good of a pass rusher, it might just propel them to be.
But I mean, if the Eagles got Hassan Reddick, he had 20+ sacks last season.
All right, bro. If the Eagles are 1, the Niners are 1B. Like, bro, it's 1A, 1B. Like,
I still think they better. I'll give
like
Nick Bosa the best player.
Secondary solid. The Eagles definitely got the edge in that one. Probably linebacker.
I would give it to the 49ers.
Niners got that one. Yep, exactly.
Although Nakobe Dean is looking really good, but Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw is probably the best duo in the league.
Exactly. So I mean, you go down this roster. Those are the 2 top teams that I expect to be competing in an NFC title game.
But quarterback's just so important that I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I would give the Eagles the edge is solely because Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and I think receivers is crazy, bro. Devontae Smith would be the number 1 on the 49ers.
Bro, 2 years ago, Debo Samuel was like top 3, like maybe
for
not
running the
solely,
ball because
solely receiver.
He was doing all that because he was playing running back and receiver.
Exactly,
bro.
Though.
Pure
bro.
receiver, Smitty clears. Sorry.
It's all about what you could do on the field, whether it's just receiving or utility wise. Like it's up there in conversation.
Like, who the better overall player? Sure, give it to Debo. But in terms of just pure receiver, come on now.
But on the field, it's just not pure receiver. It's overall.
But Debo, he fit that 49ers scheme because he could run the ball, do all them quick screens and shit like that. But no, I'm taking Devontae. He's the number 1 receiver.
Anyways, man. But that is why I didn't say for them to return to the NFC.
No, but I think
to win the NFC.
They should. I still feel like they should be better than the 49ers just because of quarterback, really.
I expect nothing less, man. I mean, it's kind of what I expected. So,
yeah.
Nonetheless, man, that's going to wrap up our Hot or Not. I'm not. I had one where Trey Lance was on it, but of course the news breaks today that they're looking to trade him now. But, I mean, you look. What team takes a chance on on Trey Lance, and what do you think they kind of get in return for Lance?
Well, what team? So, the first report I saw was the Vikings, I guess, have him sit behind Kirk Cousins because, Kirk, all he does is just sign those 1-year deals every year. So he's like, what, mid-30s, 33, 34. So eventually it'll be time to move on.
That wouldn't be bad.
And you'll have arguably the best player in the NFL to throw to in Justin Jefferson. So that'll definitely help. I don't care how good you think Devo is. There's no one like him over there in San Francisco. So that would definitely be, it will help. Trey Lance's.
Okay, I never said Devo is better than Jay.
It will help Trey Lance's development. I think, honestly, at this point in his career, he will have to go somewhere where he could play and get reps. So Falcons? That was a team I saw. The Falcons might be interesting. But they got Desmond Ridder. I don't know how they feel about him there. I mean, maybe the Commanders, Sam Howell, if he isn't the answer this year, maybe they try to trade for him mid-season. That'd be interesting. They got a few good weapons over there that Trey Lance could work with. So, in terms of a team, it's so weird, like, at this point in the season because, like, everyone seems to be,
got their schemes, got their teams.
Or not even, but they have their, quarterback they're going into the year with. So, maybe towards the middle of the season, somebody gets banged up, someone's injured, or, one of these younger quarterbacks don't pan out, so the way someone thought they would. Then Trey Lance comes in and gets a chance because I think he's still talented. He's never had the reps, bro. I don't think he'll get the chance to get better unless he's on the field playing. Now what they'll get in return, nowhere near what they traded for.
Yeah. Do you think they get?
I don't think
a third-round pick.
A third-round pick will be. I think it's stretching it because you got to think at this point, this is like the lowest value Trey Lance has ever had. Like,
100%.
You're trading him at his worst.
Last year, if they
return.
traded him, that would have been probably.
Well, yeah, but they couldn't because they had so many injuries. It's like damn, like they had,
like before that even had like, I think it was heading in before the injuries.
Well, week 1 he was their starter when he got injured against the Bears. So you're not gonna trade him when he get injured. So
wasn't it last season he was at the strip clubs too? That was last season, right?
Well, I don't know about all that. I'm not gonna speak on that, but
after the game, bro. Come on.
Well,
anyways.
Hey man, listen. I don't know about all that, but yeah, a 3rd round pick I think would at this point in time the 49ers would they consider a success in terms of return value, because I mean, you got to think if you one of these teams, like what would you be willing to give up to take a chance on Trey Lance? And so far everything you've seen just hasn't been that good. Or you've seen flashes, but you haven't, seen any consistency.
I think the ceiling is that 3rd round pick. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if they get offered a 3rd round pick today, they take
it. Yeah,
but I don't know who's gonna offer that, considering they traded 3 firsts for him, and you can go through, the halls and everything everyone's gotten for all these picks, like
Jalen Waddle.
I think one of those picks were
Bradley Chubb.
One of the picks turned out, the Dolphins traded or whatever, it turned out to be Cole Strange for the Patriots, I guess. I think one of the picks ended up in their hands.
Oh, no. I think
he was a guard that
went
played.
to the Broncos. Well, I know the
Eagles. The Dolphins
Hill.
traded one with the Eagles when we traded up for Devontae, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I mean, I know
that was with the Cowboys. I don't know. Regardless, more than Trey Lance has been received, no matter
Hill,
who
Jalen
it is
Waddle,
for the Dolphins and
Bradley Chubb. I think those were the,
because I don't know. For the Dolphins, I don't think like those exact picks. It's in terms of they turned those picks into those players, so they moved around in those picks. Regardless, everything. Yeah, the 49ers lost is the main idea here, like badly. Like,
you think it was that COVID desperation at the time? Where they're just like, fuck it, we need a quarterback.
Who, the Niners?
Yeah, man, because that was like 2020 they drafted him. They were just locked up. Maybe everybody just went crazy, and they're like, Trey Lance is the guy.
Well, the upside was there, like you saw it, but it's just been, unlucky breaks and health, man. Like, it's tough. I think he was a developmental project, and they kind of took him in towards a win-now mode because that roster was solid. So,
I did see one thing about Trey Lance. I don't know what quarterback it was, but I think there was a quarterback in the NFL last season that has thrown more passes than Trey Lance has since high school. I think, like, bro, because he only played 1 year in college, I'm pretty sure, because he didn't play his first year. Played his second year, sat out. 3rd year.
Well, he played his first year, but it was behind Jimmy G. He started one game. He came in for a few packages.
In college.
Oh, in college, yeah.
And then didn't play his last year in college. Went to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then even in the NFL, the passes he made still doesn't. I forget what quarter, but it was crazy. Like, how do you expect?
It's probably like Tom Brady, bro.
Be better than one season, like just a regular season of someone throwing the football has more passes than Trey Lance has in his whole life, like leading up from high school on. Like it is just insane.
And the big thing is it's not like a Jordan Love situation, where Jordan Love, although he hasn't started for the Packers, he's been healthy and he's been able to get those reps and practice and be with the team. Trey Lance has been injured, like to where he can't even be on the field and get those reps as the scout team or on the second team. So he's like even more behind in terms of playing and throwing
just
the football.
Just his feel for the game.
Exactly. So it's tough. I'm not too sure what they'll get for him at this point. I think if he is traded, it'll be more towards like during the season or towards the trade deadline. Quarterback got to get injured. Something's got to happen. The team's got to be willing to take a chance.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Moving on. Defensive, offensive players of the year in MVP, man. You want to start with you want to start with defense, move to offense, and then MVP?
We could do that.
Go ahead and give me your vote for DPOY in 2023?
All right. I'm gonna just make this simple, bro, because we probably got the same one. I got Myles Garrett. So 16 sacks, back-to-back seasons, around 17, 18 tackles for loss in those 2 seasons as well. Listen, man, I've been sitting next to you this whole offseason. You've been talking up the Browns, how good they're going to be. And if they're going to be that good, it's going to have to start with their best player up front, best player on the team, and Myles Garrett. Super, super freak athlete. You know, there's been questions and concerns of this, you know, take plays off, this and that. You know, the effort has been in question at times, but I don't really think that's an issue. When Myles Garrett's locked in, when Myles Garrett is playing, he's one of, if not the best pass rusher in the league. He's been in the talks for the top pass rusher forever. I think it's about time he finally wins one. He's due. I mean, it's a chance he could finally crack that 20 sack number this year. If he's fully healthy, I think he has just as good a chance as anyone to win that award. Now, you know, the names like Micah Parsons, that's somebody I had to look at. Even questioning Sauce, if he has a really, really good breakout year. Well, not even breakout, but a really, really good year building off of that defensive rookie of the year. That Jets media, New York media, they'll go crazy for it. But I just think it's Myles Garrett's turn, you know, in terms of being that elite pass rusher to win the award. We saw TJ Watt win it. We saw last year Nick Bosa win it. Now it's just between Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. And I think at this point in his career, Myles Garrett is more ready, although Micah Parsons could easily win it. But just to make it easy, I just went with Myles Garrett to agree with you.
So I did at one point put Myles Garrett down, but I had to take it away just for a different reason. But I did Myles Garrett 2022 in a season where he got into a car accident, missed a couple games.
I had him last year as well.
You had him what?
Like last year as my defensive player pick, I had him as well. Yeah, I think this year.
I probably had him last year. But 2022, he had 37 solo tackles, 16 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 60 total tackles. Myles Garrett, different beast. I talk about it all the time. Should win a DPOY at some point. Think he got robbed maybe 2 years, whatever it was. He got robbed. It is what it is, man. But I just couldn't. I don't think they've ever given, 2 awards to the players on the same team. So I had to switch it up, if that's any indication. But Defensive Player of the Year, the New York media, man, I'm biting on the sauce, dog. I got Sauce Gardner out here. DPOY building off that rookie Defensive Player of the Year last year in New York. Good defense. You got a good cornerback duo. So it's not like, if Sauce decides the other side of the field, it's going to be open. They got 2 good corners. Sauce virtually, just locked down. He's uncatchable. I don't know how to say it, but you can't catch a pass against Sauce, basically. And, coming out of college, his question mark was always he never played SEC, Big Ten. He never played in that league. He played in the American Athletic Conference, which it comes down to Cincinnati, UCF at the time, and Memphis were the only 3 teams where you think that could actually compete in college football to a certain degree, depending on the year. And it is what it is. Sauce came into the league locked down. I expect him to have another big year, and I think that New York media is going to eat it up. If the Jets make the playoffs, Sauce has a good year. I think they're just going to ride with it. Especially with this Hard Knocks. It's just everything's in the direction, and Sauce is that guy on the outside, man. No denying it.
Yeah, like I mentioned, that was the name I had, considered and brought up. If everything goes right in New York, so I could see it.
I'm messing with that Myles Garrett, though, bro. It's a good pick.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Okay, Offensive Player of the Year. You want me to go or you want to do it?
You go ahead. Right. I think I know who you're going to pick, but...
All right, well, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I got Jamar Chase, man. So last season, kind of banged up, only played 12 games. Coming off of, his Offensive Rookie of the Year campaign, a little bit of a sophomore slump due to injury, but I think this year's going to be the bounce back year. Last year, even though he only played 12 games, he still managed to record a career high in receptions with 87. Still got over 1,000 receiving yards and hauled in 9 touchdowns. So, if Burrow and Chase are both healthy, I know Joe Burrow has that calf injury that he had earlier in training camp. So you want to see him, back fully healthy because he's pretty much, a really, really vital part of this award. But they're both on the field and they're both healthy. In my opinion, this is the most dangerous quarterback-receiver duo in the league. They've had that chemistry since LSU. We talk about that on this show time and time again. Joe Burrow knows where Jamar Chase is going to be at, and he has the ultimate, just throw it up. He's down there somewhere, confidence in Jamar Chase. We saw against the Chiefs in that playoffs game, down the stretch on 4th down, double coverage. He's throwing it up to Jamar, man. And Jamar's going to go up and make that play. So, he's only going to get better. He's going to get all of those targets in the offense. They have T. Higgins. They still have Tyler Boyd. But, I just think Jamar Chase is a level above those guys. And, Joe Burrow's he's going to want to throw it to his guy. And I can see him, following in the footsteps of his friend and former LSU teammate Justin Jefferson and winning this award in his 3rd season. So I got Jamar Chase as offensive player of the year, excuse me.
Yeah, I knew you were alluding to that earlier, but a guy I got, man, he's a legit receiver in this league compared to you. I'm just playing. But
Deebo Samuel.
That's according to you, man. He's not a receiver, so I got Tyreek Hill, man. Last year, it was his highest yards in a season in his career, and he played with Pat Mahomes. Considered probably one of the best duos in the league. He went for 119 receptions, 1,710 yards on 7 touchdowns. I was trying to look at the difference between when Tua was on the field versus he was not. So assuming, Tua's on the field, Tyreek Hill is breaking 2K yards, maybe gets into double-digit touchdowns. His usage is up there. He's virtually the most unguardable player in the league, just with his raw speed and what defenses have to do. So when you look at what he did with Tua in such a short time, in their first year together, another year under their belt, Mike McDaniel becomes even more comfortable in a system which it looks like he's been running for years in Miami. You get another season under that, Tua healthy, Tyreek healthy, obviously question mark. He always misses some games, speed guys in their hamstrings, whatnot. But I expect a Cooper Kupp-esque season out of Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins in his usage. So 2K yards, Tyreek Hill, it's hittable for him at this point, considering he got 1,700 last year. I think he was on pace for 2K while Tua was quarterbacking, even after he missed, a couple games with the first concussion. So I expect him bounce back, not even bounce back, just feed off of last year and go into this year with a little bit more. And, they got something to prove when it comes to as a team, collectively as a unit. So Tyreek Hill, offensive player of the year, that's my lock.
I'm not mad at it. Yeah, Tyreek could definitely, in that offense, in that scheme, the way he's just force-fed the ball, I can definitely see him putting up some crazy numbers. Even if, Tua does go out, Tyreek has still had solid games just because he's that, dominant and dynamic as a receiver. If I'm a backup quarterback and I have Tyreek Hill on my team, I'm throwing him the ball every play.
I'm telling him, hey, run a drag, bro.
Yeah, so, Tyreek Hill he should be a name to watch. I want to hear your MVP, so I already know where this is going to go. I'm not going to say anything. I just want to just get straight into it. I just want to.
Are you sure you want to hear mine first, bro?
I just go ahead, bro. Because you probably not going to want to hear mine, so just go ahead.
Well, yours is Jalen Hurts, so.
It's not Jalen Hurts, I'll say that.
But
go ahead.
Not Jalen Hurts anyways, man. It's a bit of a shocker, man. Because I'm riding with the guy, man. There's a lot of question marks when it comes to this player. In all seriousness, last time this player played football, best in the league when it comes to it. I got Deshaun Watson, man, MVP. You could sit here and laugh. 2020, I looked at Aaron Rodgers, who won MVP that year. They have identical completion percentages. Deshaun Watson had about 600 yards more. Aaron Rodgers had about 10 more touchdowns than Deshaun Watson. He went for 4,823 passing yards, 33 tutties, 7 picks. almost picked up 500 yards on the ground with 3 TDs as well, 70% completion percentage. There's a lot of talks. Does he have it still? Can he bounce back to what he was? And in a system like this, man, last year everyone wants to talk about his 50% completion percentage, 7 TDs, 5 picks. Whatever it is, man. I mean, you look at it, he's got a full season now. Kevin Stefanski builds this offense around their $230 million guaranteed quarterback versus Jacoby Brissett, in which they did last year. You got the best running back in the NFL. You got the receiving core to help. You talked about Myles Garrett being one of the top players in your pick for DPOY. You got good corners, good defense. Jim Schwartz, your guy from Philadelphia, coming over. We know what he can do coaching the defensive side of the ball. I just think everything's in Deshaun's favor, and there's going to be a point, and I think it has to be week 1 at this point because, how long of a leash do you give a guy that's getting all this guaranteed money over here in Cleveland? Change the quarterback market. And it's time for Deshaun to prove it and go back to 2020. The reason he wasn't in the MVP conversation, 4-win team, he was on the Houston Texans. I mean, they just flat out suck. So you go down it, man. Deshaun Watson, all the cards are in his favor. Can he return to form? And I think he returns to form and gives us a 2020 season. And this time it's going to be for a winning team. Comes first place in the division. So he's definitely going to be up there in that conversation. A lot of guys you could pick. But I think there was a little bit of voters fatigue. I was trying to chalk down Patrick Mahomes. But they talked about voters fatigue in the NBA. I think there's a little voters fatigue coming in the NFL too. So I don't think Pat Mahomes, even if he somehow goes even more historic. But Deshaun Watson, MVP, NFL. 2023.
I mean, not much to say after that. I mean, you covered everything. You made a really good argument for your guy. I just looked it up. He's 12 in betting odds to win NFL MVP.
12?
So
That's a little higher than I thought, bro.
Listen, Vegas isn't all the way out on him, but I think it'll definitely be a tough road for him to get back. But if everything goes perfect for the Cleveland Browns, I can see a world where it happens. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. But hey, man, listen. You picked Tyreek Hill for Offensive Player of the Year, Deshaun Watson for MVP.
Tua.
I mean, we see the team bias.
For the MVP. No, ain't no team bias, man. These guys are all.
When you said you didn't want to pick Garrett because they were going to give 2 people the award. I was hoping it was going to be Nick Chubb maybe for Offensive Player of the Year. Yeah, but once you went with, I forgot, I'm like, he's got to get a Dolphins player too. He's not going to pick Tua for MVP. So, Deshaun Watson makes sense. I don't hate it. It's a bold take, man. I'm not mad at it. I'm coming
with the bold takes, man.
Yeah, so
keep knocking the football IQ till we see that film and what happens on that field.
So my MVP pick, you mentioned is going to be Jalen Hurts. I'm a man of integrity. I try to take out bias. I don't, look too hard into anything. So obviously Jalen Hurts has the potential to win MVP. I would love if he won MVP, but I don't think it's going to be this year. And also the same with you with Patrick Mahomes. I kind of just excluded him from this because that's the easy choice, bro. Like Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback of all time.
Last year.
Yeah, let's change it up. Let's get someone else in there. So, obviously, Mahomes, the betting favorite, he'll probably end up winning it. But we just wanted to, switch it up, do something different. So, on this show, I'm known as, the guy to be early on a lot of things. Last year, I was early on the Jags.
I was had them as a good team. Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence was a name that came up, but I just think it's just a little bit too early for T-Law.
I know who this is.
He'll be there later.
It's another
last
same
season,
build. Just go ahead.
I picked somebody for Defensive Player of the Year, and this last year I had an MVP pick, but I was just a little bit too early on it. But I think this year's the year, man. And it's Justin Herbert, all right? Listen, as a quarterback, as a player in this league, who's gotten better every single season, first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 4,000 yards in his first 3 seasons. It's going to happen again in his 4th season. Most yards by a QB in his first 3 seasons with over 14,000. And and second most TDs through his first 3 seasons, only 4 behind Dan Marino with 94. Dan Marino had 98, which was crazy looking at those numbers. But listen, man, a new offense. He's going to be the one in command. He's in control. He's basically a veteran at this point. He's seen everything the NFL can throw at you in terms of defense. Kellen Moore coming over. He's a proven offensive coordinator in this league. We know his stuff works. When Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, that unit was number 2 in the NFL in total offense and total scoring, and they had the fourth best passing offense. So he was doing all that with Dak Prescott. Now you put in Justin Herbert, 6'6", big quarterback, elite arm talent, can make any throw on the field, elite processor of the game. They bring in and bring back a lot of weapons. Keenan Allen, looking to be healthy going into this season. Mike Williams, a big threat, jump ball guy. He's healthy. You bring in Quentin Johnson. They finally have someone that can, take the top off, spread out that defense, a true big, deep threat for Justin Herbert with, elite top-end speed. Austin Eckler, he's still back there. Check down, help on the run game. Everything is set up this season for Justin Herbert. Just signed his big contract extension. He's got the money. Going into his 4th year, this is the year Justin Herbert takes that leap, takes that true next step in becoming an undeniable top 3, top 2 talent quarterback in this league. You can't argue anymore. He's already had 5,000 passing yards in his career. In his second season, it's probably going to go over it again. He had over 30 touchdowns in both of his first 2 seasons. Last year, only 21. Oh, because I forgot to mention, he was banged up with broken ribs throughout the half of the last season. So he's going to be back fully healthy. He's going to throw over 5,000 yards again, probably 40 touchdowns. He's going to outduel Patrick Mahomes on national television, playing in that same division. So we'll get to see him go head-to-head, toe-to-toe with the greatest quarterback in the league. And when, the Chargers come out and beat them, it's not going to be much for critics to say, not going to be much for you to say. I think Justin Herbert has everything he needs to become the league MVP this season.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you went that way, man. That's kind of your guy that's not on your team, but you've been a firm believer in Herbert. Definitely one of the best arm talents in this league. Let's just see if he could put it all together, man. We know we talked about our QB list. We don't got to dive into it again, but
yeah, the 7th best quarterback or 8th best quarterback in the league is gonna win MVP. Yeah.
I mean, dude, he could win it, bro. I'm not denying it, but
and what? Oh, the 10th best quarterback for you is winning MVP. Wow, disrespecting a lot of guys.
He gonna be
should have had him higher, man.
Number 1. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've been watching too much NFL Network, but I'm buying in, man. That wraps up our awards for this upcoming NFL season, man. Last week we did, rookies and coaches, and this week we did offensive, defensive, MVP, and that's going to wrap up the awards. It's going to move us on to our breakout players, qualifications for this, just players that have not yet made a Pro Bowl. So, I was making this list, had some young guys in there. I also got, a guy that's been in the league for a couple more years as well. I guess I'll start it off.
I think we might have one of the same players, but everyone else is going to be different.
Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but the first one, this one is kind of like my true breakout player, and it's Alexander Mattison of the Minnesota Vikings. I mean,
it's not a bad one.
Dalvin Cook finally gone. He was the workhorse of that team. Alex Mattison in the backfield has always been a solid backup. His first 2 years in the league, 4.7, and I think he had 4.6 and 4.5 yards per carry. His first 2 years, nearly 100 carries in both of those seasons in 13 games. Last year, he was averaged 3.8 on 74 carries, so a little less. But he also had his best receiving year 2 years ago in 21, where he almost went for 300 yards. So he's caught 70 passes in his career. He's only had 400 touches. So a guy that's not been used heavily, and running backs usually get ran to the ground pretty quick. His workload hasn't been too heavy. He's played in, 10-plus games in every season, even as the backup. So expect him now, heavier workload. Expect him to wear down these defenses. A hard, fast runner. He could catch the ball out the backfield. I think he took a screen to the crib last year in a big moment for the Vikings. So none of this really surprises me. I've always been sort of as much of a believer you can be in a backup running back on the Minnesota Vikings, I guess. But he's always been a guy that I thought deserved a shot at the starting role. He finally gets to do it this year in Minnesota. So, with Kirk Cousins, Jay Jets, they're going to expect to lean on that run game. Not as heavily with Dalvin Cook, but, just that threat on the outside might open things up. Big year for, Madison and company, and the Vikings are going to need it because you don't want Kirk dropping back 40 times. He can throw it, but we all know what he's made out of. If Madison picks up the slack, it's going to be a big year for him and hopefully his first Pro Bowl selection.
Yeah, that's a good name. I mean, Alexander Madison, someone we've seen flash multiple times, coming in, replacing, putting up solid performances for Dalvin Cook, kind of just, sitting behind one of the best running backs in the league. So opportunities just wasn't there, but now he gets the chance to step in as the one, and he should be productive. So I'm going to go along the same lines with this player. I have someone that's been in the league, a name that everyone knows, but, still meets that criteria, haven't made a Pro Bowl, and the name's Calvin Ridley, man. Now, I believe he has a real chance to back bounce, from a rocky middle part of his career, had the suspension, stepped away from football for mental health issues, So he hasn't really played in about 2 years since we've seen him on the field. But, in 2020, his best season as a true number one in Atlanta when Julio only played 9 games, he posted 90 receptions, 1,374 yards, and 9 total touchdowns. So this was last time we saw him, at his best as a true number one. Now, he'll be stepping into that role again, coming back fully healthy on the Jags with the best quarterback he's arguably played with. I think Trevor Lawrence is better than Matt Ryan, even though he's won a league MVP. I think Trevor Lawrence...
At that point in his career, yeah.
But I think Trevor Lawrence is more talented and has, better upside. So, we've seen the clips out of camp, hearing all the news and stuff. He's looked really, really impressive. He's been really sharp. Now, I don't think this will be like a career breakout, like meaning, he's going to do really, really good like for a long time. No, he's already 28, but I can definitely see him having a Pro Bowl year or two within these next few years with Jacksonville and being really productive and really, him and Trevor Lawrence being one of the best duos, one of the best connections in football because, like I mentioned, man, we've seen the talent really has always been really good. Was solid number 2, stepped up big time when Julio went out. So it's just we haven't seen him play in a while. So I think if he comes back fully healthy, his body has had time to heal. He hasn't been taking hits for 2 years as well. So he should be in really, really good shape. Should be able to put up really, really good numbers, a really solid deep threat receiver, and it should be a fun connection up there in Duval.
Yeah, I mean, really didn't even cross my mind just because he is one of the best receivers. And, obviously the suspension in football, whatever, took him away from the game for a little while. But bouncing back this year, I really like that pick a lot. I mean, Calvin Ridley probably going to be top, I don't want to say top 10, but he
has the potential to be a top 10 receiver.
He's a lock for like a top 15 almost.
Yeah.
So he's definitely up there, man. And for a receiver to bounce back compared to, how we talked about Deshaun Watson, I mean, it's much easier to come back for a receiver because as opposed to a quarterback, I don't want to just say out there running routes, but you could get the feel for the game a lot quicker than as opposed to a QB. So kind of expect
and he's had a full
impact.
off season with the team. He's been in camp. He's been getting rest with Trevor Lawrence. So
yeah, expect that immediate impact. I really like that pick. Kind of overlooked it. This next one, this is where I was leaning. Second year player. We know the talent's there, but it's Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Last year posted 1,000-yard rookie receiving season, and just look at the situation he had to go through with the revolving door of, washed up quarterbacks he dealt with and everything he had.
Tight ends at quarterback.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. It was just tough. Post 4 touchdowns, 1,000 yards on 72 catches. expect him to go, crazy this year, even better than last year. So 2 back-to-back 1,000+ seasons for a guy that just came into the league. We knew he was, really talented out of OSU. Now with a quarterback in Derek Carr who is capable and has played with, receivers and had made impacts on those receivers, expect the veteran to come in, do good with this young receiver on the outside, and Olave due for a big year and probably a breakout where he goes for, I'm going to say, 1,100 yards easy with 7+ TDs.
Yeah, Chris Olave is a really good name here. Like you mentioned, I think we've seen it's mainly just been quarterback play. But now he gets Derek Carr, a quarterback we've known that can support elite receivers. We saw him early on with Amari Cooper, and then even last season we saw him put up crazy numbers with Devontae Adams, and even had a really good season with Hunter Renfrow. So 3 different kind of receivers. Derek Carr able to support all of them, and I think Chris Olave will have a really, really good season this year. So I like that pick. Sticking with second-year receivers, I'm going with more of a low-key name, man. I got to shout out my dog Big Max for this one. Picking Romeo Doubs, man. Last year we saw the flashes.
Big Max.
Yeah, with Romeo Doubs, we saw the flashes last year. Kind of was early on, was looking like a really good pickup. Was a rookie, but got injured, got banged up. And last year it was Christian Watson, who was the main rookie receiver that, found connection with Aaron Rodgers and scored a bunch of touchdowns towards the end of last season. But this year, Rodgers isn't there anymore. Jordan loves the guy, and all throughout camp, it seems like Romeo Doubs has been the guy Jordan Love has been targeting, and he's the one he's been hooking up to. So, with Romeo Doubs coming into this season, in the preseason, he's played 19 snaps with Jordan Love in the starters, and on those snaps, he's had 4 targets. He's caught all 4 of them for 71 yards and a touchdown. So Jordan Love has a perfect passer rating when targeting Romeo Doubs this preseason. He had a really, really nice go ball against the Patriots for 40 yards down the sideline. Romeo Doubs showing, the ability to catch the ball in traffic, intermediate, short. He's getting it done everywhere on the field. And I just think that chemistry he's developed with Jordan Love will be a big reason. And I think he'll end up being the number 1. And he could have a really, really good season. And this offense has potential. If Jordan Love is really good or, has some of that upside that he got drafted in the first round for, Romeo Doubs can be, one of the main people that benefit from that and have some really good numbers this season. So that's the name I say we look out for.
It's funny. One of the players I put on my list with a question mark because I wasn't, too sure with that quarterback situation was Christian Watson. So I didn't know if I wanted to bring him up this episode, but you threw out Doubs. I'm just going to throw Watson in there real quick. Not really my pick, but he's definitely a player. He's on the watch list, but that connection between Love and Doubs has been there this training camp. And, 2 young receivers on the outside can definitely make a splash and help out that young QB as well. Good system over there in Green Bay, good coaching. See if they can put it together, those 3 young guys on the offensive side of the ball. But my true third pick, it comes down, man, to Javon Holland of the Miami Dolphins. This guy, he's a play caller, a captain of that defense, and a guy that was in his second year last year, heading into his third. He's yet to make a Pro Bowl, man. Just an absolute ball hawk down the middle of the field as a free safety. You could even put him in the box. He's kind of like a hybrid. He can really hit guys. He can tackle well. And just having a command of a defense at such a young age on a team that, had some veteran presence. And it kind of surprised me, Holland wasn't up there. Even in, I guess, since his rookie year, but he's posted 2 picks each season. He's missed some games. Actually, he's played both seasons healthy, but he did get a little banged up a couple games. Forced a fumble, a couple fumble recoveries in his career. He's had 4 sacks through 2 years as a free safety. Not really a big blitzer, but Javon Holland, just the way he commands that defense, takes charge, and such an impact player when you watch a Dolphins game and what he is able to do, just lurking receivers down the middle of the field, over the middle of the field, whatever it is. He's definitely up there, man, and I expect him this year in 2023 to kind of have, Pro Bowl season where he is able to finally get that Pro Bowl chip in his third year. But I mean, I think for any second-year player, if you're a captain of a defense, the team really has to trust you. I mean, they don't only trust you. You have to be good. I mean, they're just not throwing around captains on, starting safeties that are just decent. So, Javon Holland, man, being able to be a leader on this team, I think this year finally breaks out. A little bit less exciting position compared to our receivers. But I think Javon Holland, big year coming from him on the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most talented, young defensive players we have in this league. I'm sure it'll be just a matter of time until he gets selected to one of the Pro Bowls. So, this episode, you've done a lot of, hometown team picks, a lot of Browns, a lot of Dolphins. So I think it's time I show love to one of my Philly guys, though, man. So I'm gonna throw in my little homer pick right here, and I got Kenneth Gainwell, man. So the Eagles have been pretty much a running back by committee these past few seasons, ever since like DeMarco Murray and LaShawn McCoy.
Hey,
crazy times.
Before you even go on Kenneth Gainwell, man, I saw a little clip of DeMarco Murray just running absolutely through the hole, and they were like, Chip Kelly always trying to get him watching east to west, and he goes north to south touch. I just thought it was funny, man.
Yeah, I
Chip
saw
Kelly.
that clip and remember that game. Yeah, the first game after Chip Kelly was fired, DeMarco Murray was running everywhere. Yes, but no need to think of those dark times as an Eagles fan. Kenneth Gainwell, I think, will come out and show that, separate himself from this running back by committee. We brought in DeAndre Swift, brought in Rashad Penny. We have Trey Sermon on the roster, drafted kind of high by the 49ers. And then we also have Boston Scott, who is the giant killer himself. But I think Kenneth Gainwell, throughout this training camp, throughout this preseason, has shown that he's going to be the number one running back of this committee. Came up big in the playoffs last season. That's kind of where we saw him, break out, even scored in the Super Bowl. But I think he continues to build off of that solid performance over this upcoming season. The past 2 years in his career, he's at over 4 yards per carry. And I think one of the big things he has going for him is he's a really good runner, but he's also a really solid pass catcher with over 20 receptions in his first 2 years without being the real number one receiver or running back, We know what Jalen Hurts brings to the table. We know he's going to be running all over the place, but, I think he'll continue to dominate the run game. But so far this offseason, Kenneth Gainwell has seemed to take control of that lead role in that backfield. And I think going into week 1, he'll be running back 1. And throughout the season, we'll see Kenneth Gainwell get majority of those running back snaps. And, I mean, listen, if you're going to be running back for the team with the best O-line in the league, you're going to have some good numbers. So I think Kenny Gainwell has a chance to put up some really nice numbers and be really productive on one of the best teams in football.
Yeah, man, I'm surprised you didn't go with the giant killer, man. I'm a big fan of Boston Scott. You know this.
Well, listen, Boston Scott's really good, but I just think he doesn't have the upside. Gainwell going into his third year. Boston Scott, he's older, more of a situational back, kind of in between the tackles, more of that power back. Same thing with Rashad Penny. He's explosive, but injuries, more in between the tackle and Swift offers more of that, pass catching, elusive, outside, of the tackle running. Whereas Kenneth Gainwell, you can kind of get all of that from him in one player. So I just think he's the most complete back out of everyone there. And, reports coming out, he'll likely be RB1.
I'm not going to lie. If I could switch my pick, I just realized Christian Wilkins never made a Pro Bowl, but I'm not even going to get into that. That's who I'd take over Javon Holland on that watch list, but both talented. I'm not mad at that Kenneth Gainwell pick. He's definitely been you saw him, as you said, emerge in those playoffs for the Philadelphia Eagles. I kind of think at the end of the season, it's just going to be a 1-2 punch between him and Swift. I honestly, I like Boston Scott, the giant killer. I think those two guys can handle the workload, and those guys are the two most clear-cut talented running backs in that running back room. So
although I'm sure it'll be more of a committee this year. I think all of those guys will get their touches. Yeah, but I think in terms of I don't think it'll be a Miles Sanders-esque role because Miles Sanders was getting a lot, he was getting a majority of the carries, but in terms of a committee, I think Gainwell will show that he's, the true number one. With all those guys still getting involved, there's been reports with DeAndre Swift lining up in the slot,
Two running back sets, yeah.
Him lining up as like a receiver, kind of flaring out of the backfield. So I don't know how much they'll run with him, but he'll definitely be used in the passing game because that was a big thing. The Eagles didn't really target their running backs passing wise last year, so I think that was one of the main things they kind of brought over Swift. They want to get him involved a lot passing wise, so see a lot of screens and swing passes to DeAndre Swift. But in terms of running the ball, I think Kenneth Gainwell is going to be their guy.
No doubt, man. That's going to wrap up, right? You only got 3.
Yeah, those are my 3.
Yep. That's going to wrap up, man, our breakout players as well as episode 53, man. Go to go. Any last comments you got before we start to sign off, man?
No, we pretty much covered everything, man. Justin Herbert for MVP.
Shout out. Just throw up them fours, man. I don't even... Whatever your opinion is, man. Nonetheless, man, 2023 NFL season, 15 days. No, it's 14. 15.
15.
Yeah, it's 15.
Tomorrow's, yeah.
I said it at the beginning, man. 15 days away, Thursday night. Finally get some football back. And, I mean, it's 18 days before we get 7 hours of commercial-free football. That's probably the thing I'm looking forward to most. That boy Scott Hansen back on air doing his thing. And, I mean, I'm pumped. I know you're pumped. Best time of the year. We got our drafts coming up soon for fantasy. Going to lock in into that season as well, man. Nonetheless, man, go pod on TikTok. Go YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you're listening. Go ahead, hit that share button, like, comment, sub on the tube, like, and comment on the TikTok videos as well, man. Let us know your thoughts, your takes, what you guys are rocking with as well, man. Without further ado, we'll catch y'all next week, man. Episode 53. Peace.